Madam District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Sheriff Todd Baxter. My name is Chris Chichester. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, and I'm demanding public information from you that you are obligated to provide to me. I'm using the instrument called the Freedom of Information Law. Every single syllable I utter is a demand for public information you are obligated to provide to me. Freedom of Information Law, application to access records, the names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. That's my signature. Today's date, January 31, 2020. That's my email, cchichester.jul4@gmail, and my address, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, Penfield, New York, 14526. My phone number, 585-678-9291. That contact information is on every foil. I'm going to read this again because this is the most important one. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Madam District Attorney Sandra Doorley, you believe in the law. What does the law mean to you? You graduated law school and earned your JD. You believed in the law. That is why throughout your career, you worked to the point you're at now, where you're the District Attorney of Monroe County. And I'm demanding that you comply with the law, Sandra Doorley, using the instrument called the Freedom of Information Law. Freedom of Information Law. Application to access records. Quote, the names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. What's not to understand about that language? Kyle Steinbach. What's not to understand about that language, Kyle? I'm going to read that again. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. What's not to understand? Sandra Doorley, Kyle Steinbach. You can see this document I'm holding in my hand. Justice may be blind, but you're not. Freedom of Information Law, application to access records. Quote, the cost to taxpayers if Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter has expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits for failure to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. If Sheriff Todd Baxter has used taxpayer dollars to settle sexual harassment-related discrimination lawsuits, that's part of the public record. So what's the answer, Sheriff Baxter? Because if you have used tax dollars to settle lawsuits where your employees are sexually harassing other public employees or other citizens, that is news. So what's the answer, Todd Baxter? Is the answer yes or is the answer no? Based on my experience with your repulsive, disgusting criminal organization, I believe I know the answer, but I'm not going to say it because that's just speculation, and I'm not going to engage in speculation. So what's the answer, Todd Baxter? Are your public employees guilty of sexual harassment? What's sexual harassment? Has 1,000 different definitions. And it's almost always the man that's committing this disgusting act. It's a man asking a woman out on a date over and over and over, and her reply is no. And she is under siege at the office with no. It's a man touching a woman on parts of her body where she doesn't want to be touched. And this happens all the time. Even a little neck rub. Does that happen at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? What's the answer, Todd Baxter? Have you used taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits under Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act? Freedom of Information Law. Application to access records. Quote, because the taxpayers of Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley has expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits for failure to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Madam District Attorney Sandra Doorley, does the Civil Rights Act of 1964 sound familiar? Is this a law you understand? Is this a law you studied in law school? Is this a law you're sworn to uphold, Sandra Doorley? So what's the answer? At 47 South Fitzhugh in Rochester. How do your public employees comport themselves, Sandra Doorley? I'm going to say that again. How do your public employees comport themselves, Sandra Doorley? The way I obtain the answer is how you answer this. And if you ignore this, which you will do, and it's easy for me to make a conclusion as to what the answer is. Application to access records. The names and charges of every inmate at Monroe County Jail from January 1, 2018 to December 31, 2018. Names, charge. Do you understand this language, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Your jail is a public facility. I'm not sending this to a Holiday Inn and asking for the names of the individuals that checked into that Holiday Inn. I want to know, I demand to know the name and charge of people that are at your public facility that is Monroe County Jail. As I was deposited in your jail as an innocent man. I couldn't eat the food at your jail. And I befriended 80-year-old Bob. And Bob told me why he was in there, and I'm not going to get into that detail. And what happened to him, based on what he told me, is that the Monroe County Sheriff's Office is putting screws to 80-year-old Bob because of a domestic situation with the woman he lived with. So, you have 80-year-old Bob in your jail, walking around next to the 25-year-old gang members. And how is 80-year-old Bob going to defend himself from a 25-year-old gang member? And the reason why I know they're gang members, because I was told. When you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner next to these individuals, they're talking about gang business. They didn't come up to me and start telling me about gang business. But when you eat next to people, you can hear their conversations. I now know where to get a tattoo in Rochester. Freedom of Information Law. Sheriff Todd Baxter. also known as an application to access records. Quote, the cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff employee Ryan Fisher to attend the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019 with his canine dog, Lola. No, I did not make that up. No, that is not fiction. Here's Ryan Fisher at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, in uniform, with his canine. How much, Todd Baxter, did you spend for a plane ticket for Ryan Fisher to fly out of Rochester, out of Monroe County, out of New York State, 2,000 miles away to Atlanta, Georgia? How much did you spend for the hotel? What hotel did he stay at? How much did you spend for the care and feeding of this beautiful dog, Lola? Send me that information, Todd Baxter. This is your employee in uniform in Atlanta, Georgia. He's not on the streets in Rochester. He's not driving around in Penfield or Webster or Fairport. He's in Atlanta, Georgia. Penfield, Webster, and Fairport is not in Georgia. Todd Baxter. The cost of taxpayers. Oh, I need to make the introduction of what this document is with the appropriate finger. Sheriff Baxter. Freedom of Information Law, application to access records. Quote, the cost of taxpayers for photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter to photograph 10 public employees underwater in a pool. These are your taxpayer-subsidized public employees underwater in a pool, because this picture was on your Monroe County Sheriff Facebook page. This picture right here. These are Monroe County Sheriff employees underwater. How is the underwater crime in Monroe County, Sheriff Todd Baxter? How many arrests did you make underwater in Monroe County, Todd Baxter? What's the answer to that question? You had to hire a photographer. You had to set this up. This is such a joke, a disgrace, an abomination, and I love it. Freedom of Information Law, application to access records. Cost, surveillance device purchased, the taxpayer dollars by Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter and fixed to a building at 2025 Penfield Road to monitor if Christopher Chichester at 26 Sanders Farm Drive walks through the parking lot next to the building. This is the parking lot that 17.9 million people can walk through, and then not one of them will be arrested. If I walk through this parking lot, you'll arrest me. Because of Nayraj and Layla Kumar Shah. Because I'm walking through the parking lot for the 4,000th time, just like my neighbors do, just like people did after the fireworks at Harris Whalen Park on June 30th. 200 people walked through that parking lot. So I'm walking through this parking lot, and I hear screaming from behind me. Nayraj Shah is in his vehicle. This guy is such a whack job. He didn't even get out of his car. Screaming at me. I walk up to him and say, what's the problem? He doesn't even exit his vehicle. So he's still screaming and losing it in his car. And that's when he goes to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. And that's when you, Todd Baxter, and your fellow fanatics put this camera on this building at 2025 Penfield Road that I'm pointing to. That's your camera that I was on. So when I call it a surveillance device, it's a surveillance device that I was on. It's your camera, your surveillance device. You spent taxpayer dollars to install this camera. Because when you told the toothless grass-cutting loser to go by my residence to set me up, I come outside, I'm outside for 30 seconds. I stand right here. I say they don't own that land. You can see that this land has no ownership. How would you like it, Todd, if you're sleeping with Mrs. Fascist Stooge on a Sunday at 7 o'clock and here they come? This land has no ownership. I'm going to say that again. This land has no ownership. You told this guy to get on his tractor to come by my residence because you knew I was going to come outside and I'd do it again. You should not be on land you don't own and can't prove you own. Then when your fanatics descended on me and the handcuffs went on, your public employee I do not know the salary for showed me the video on his phone. And that video that he showed me on his phone was taken from this camera on this building at 2025 Penfield Road. So if it's his taxpayer-subsidized phone, this is your taxpayer-subsidized surveillance device, camera. Call it whatever you want. And when Mike Pompeo at the Central Intelligence Agency calls a camera a surveillance device, Lindsey Barron from the Monroe County Office of Crazy Town isn't descending on Langley. That's your camera. That's your surveillance device. You bought it. You installed it. I was on it. Own it. Freedom of Information Law, the documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester before John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the female prosecutor? What's her name, Sandra Doorley? What is her name? I go to Penfield Town Court. I'm in front of 70-year-old John P. Lomenzo Jr., the pedophile protection racket for Daniel DeLouse III, because he knows Daniel DeLouse II, and he's freeing the third in Penfield. And then DeLouse is subsequently arrested on Annatel Luster because he's trying to entice children into his vehicle. This is the guy I have to appear in front of, a pedophile protection racket. So I'm in front of Lomenzo. And I'm waiting for the prosecutor from your Monroe County District Attorney's office to start to talk because I'm going to interrupt her. I'm waiting. I'm standing there. I look over at her and she says not one word. She says not one word because she has no argument. I'm not guilty of any crime. Your prosecutor, Sandra Doorley, stood in Penfield Town Court and did not talk. Not one word, not one sound, not one syllable. She didn't talk because I didn't commit a crime. I'm not guilty of a crime. How is it a crime to walk outside and stand right here, be outside for 30 seconds and say they don't own that land and walk back in my house? And what happened is that Steve Desmond is an employee of Broccolo Tree and Lawn Care. And he is told by your employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, when this Chris Chichester at 26 Sanders Farm Drive comes out of his house, when the guy in his tractor goes by, call us and we're going to descend on him. And that's exactly what happened. Because when I came outside and I'm standing right here, Desmond gets on his phone. And then bang, you're here. And you know how I knew you were here? I'm sitting right here. Look out the window. And there's Deputy Whack Job Meyer running to my backyard, crash lands right on her face. There she is laying in my backyard dirt. Why is she falling down on the job, Todd Baxter? When you fall down on the job, it's a metaphor. Your employees, Sheriff Todd Baxter, do fall down on the job. So I'm back to the velvet underground, back to the floor that I love. Now, I have here the Sheriff Todd Baxter job application. This is very simple how you fill this out. Now, you've seen this, Todd. I'm not going to foil this. It's very simple. Sheriff Todd Baxter job application. Are you a whack job? Yes or no? Now, if you check no, you can't get hired. If you check yes, you get the interview. All right. Sheriff Todd Baxter job application part 2. Can you abridge the civil and constitutional rights of Chris Chichester? Yes or no? If you say no, there's no interview. If you say yes, you get the job. She is dancing away from you now. She was just a witch. Now, Sheriff Baxter, I'm very concerned about certain public employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. These are public employees I do not know the salary for that work under you, Sheriff Baxter. And their behavior is alarming in Monroe County. And you need to know what these employees are doing that work under you, Todd Baxter. Now, this is Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Lee Harvey Oswald, Sheriff Baxter. Do you recognize your employee? Because he has spent time in the Soviet Union and Cuba. So you're giving him time off to go to Soviet Union and Cuba. That's very alarming. And Sheriff Baxter, your employee, Monroe County Sheriff Office Deputy Lee Harvey Oswald, is going to be on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. And you need to tell him, you need to counsel him immediately and tell him to stay away from this building in Dallas, Texas. Now, Madam District Attorney Sandra Doorley, I'm concerned about 3 of your assistant district attorneys at 47 South Fitzhugh, because these assistant district attorneys are doing their own dental work, Madam District Attorney, and this will not allow them to have enough time to bridge my civil and constitutional rights and the civil and constitutional rights of other innocent New Yorkers. So, Madam District Attorney, this is Assistant District Attorney Mo, Assistant District Attorney Larry, and Assistant District Attorney Curley. And they're doing their own dental work here, Madam District Attorney. So you need to counsel your Assistant District Attorneys, Mo, Larry, and Curley, and tell them to knock this stuff off on the job. You got that? Sheriff Baxter, I'm concerned about this individual. Now, this individual, I have seen him in his vehicle alongside Wegmans Food Markets at 2157 Penfield Road. You always have a vehicle alongside 2157 Penfield Road. And if the vehicle's not alongside 2157 Penfield Road, Wegmans Food Markets headquarters, then it's driving around in a circle, drives over there to Target. They're there all the time. And this one individual is in his Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle next to 2157 Penfield Road at Wegmans. This is Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ted Kaczynski. Now, Sheriff Baxter, he has an obsession with circuit boards and wiring. And you need to tell him that this is a dangerous hobby and to knock it off and to get a new hobby. And you also need to tell him that he needs to buy the appropriate products at Wegmans to deal with this freak show hair, all right? Because something's going on here with that hair. Now, you wouldn't know anything about that, Todd, because you don't have any hair. You're a Goldilocks. I'm going to get to that in a minute. So anyway, I'm very concerned again about your employee, Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ted Kaczynski. All right, what you need to do is give him a math problem and let him go crazy with the math. All right? So, Madam District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Now, as I'm demanding the name of your Assistant District Attorney stands in the nauseating Star Chamber of Penfield Town Court and doesn't talk, I have to guess the identity of this woman because you're refusing to tell me her name. So, I am aware of the names of certain employees at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, and I demand to know if this is your Assistant District Attorney who stood there in Penfield Town Court and didn't talk. Now, this is a photograph of Monroe County Assistant District Attorney Tanya Harding. You see this, Madam District Attorney? Now, She is married to Jeff Gillooly. And no, I'm not making that up. And she is obsessed with Nancy Kerrigan. So you need to tell your employee, Madam District Attorney, that Assistant District Attorney Tanya Harding should not be skating on the ice. It shouldn't be anywhere near Nancy Kerrigan. All right. And you also tell her that she should be going around any tactical batons. She needs to stay away from them. So now, Sheriff Baxter, this last employee I'm concerned about, just like the previous employees. Now, this is Monroe County Sheriff Office Deputy Lily Von Stopp. All right? Now, she's got some pronunciation problems. She can't talk English. So you need to counsel her and, tell her to get a real job and, not to be prancing around, on stage in her original language of German. Because that's your original language, Todd. So, now, have you figured out what I'm doing to you at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, the Monroe County District Attorney's Office? You can ask the captain in Tenino. Do that to me one more time. Because that's what I'm doing to you at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Now, Sheriff Baxter, I know you're looking at me and thinking, oh, that guy's got some great hair. Now, I'm going to help you out, Sheriff Baxter, with certain hair products, Todd, baby. All right, now this is Suave number 4. All right, now you put this stuff on. It's going to make your hair look terrific. All right, you take a shower, it's all wet, squeeze a little in your hand, you put it on your head, your hair's gleaming and shining. Pardon me, Todd. You don't have any hair. So, pardon me, you can't use Suave number 4. I'm sorry about that, Todd. So, now, Todd, here we have Axe Smooth Look Shine Pomade. Now, this is when your hair is already dry and you're walking around, you want it to look even better. So then you got the Axe Smooth Look Pomade. And if you're in your Wegmans headquarters, you just take this out of your pocket, put a little in your hand, and you make your hair look fantastic. Oh, pardon me, Todd. You don't have any hair. I apologize again. So, Sheriff Baxter, when you're obstructing justice and doing other criminal things on the job, and you're sitting at your desk there at 130 South Plymouth Avenue, you can take out this Garnier Fructis style here. And this is the super stiff gel. Intense structure and hold, ultra strong. And you just put a little in your hand. You put it through your hair. Pardon me, Todd. I forgot again. Yeah, you don't have any hair, so you can't use any of these products. Now, Sheriff Baxter, I'm very concerned about the insignia that you have at your headquarters there in Rochester. And this symbol here, you have to take this down from the front of 130 South Plymouth Avenue in Rochester. I know that this is the official symbol of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. But this is not good for public relations, Todd, baby. All right? You cannot have this symbol here at 130 South Plymouth Avenue. Now, I have told you this previously. So you need to take down this symbol from the front of your headquarters. This is going to be bad for public relations. Now, the other thing I'm concerned about is with that symbol is the employees see that symbol and then they want to celebrate and then they run out in front of your headquarters and there they are with the official flags of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. And then they are running out in the streets of Rochester right there in South Plymouth Avenue with the flags. So you need to tell them to knock this type of protest and this demonstration off. The First Amendment has certain rights. Now, Deputy Whackjob Meyer falling down in my backyard dirt after me being outside for 30 seconds. You need to tell her to stop taking these photographs here at 130 South Plymouth Avenue. I mean, how much did you spend to put her in this uniform, to get the flag up here like this? Now, I know that you have taken your official portrait in front of this flag here, but, what is Deputy Meyer doing in this uniform here in front of your flag here like this. And Todd, I must tell you, you got to put down your arm and knock it off with your arm. Knock this off with your arm because nobody knows what the hell that is. What the hell does this mean? I don't get it. You're going like this. What does that mean? I'm looking at you, at this photograph, at you right here with your portrait. I mean, you're riding around with a motorcade right here. I mean, you were driven into South Plymouth Avenue, 130 South Plymouth Avenue, in your official motorcade. And here you're standing up in your motorcade with your arm out like this. What the hell does that mean? I don't get that. I don't get it. I'm going to get a side track. I mean, what's that mean, Todd the Fascist? I don't get it. I don't get that at all. Email me. You got my email. cchestjuf4gmail. Tell me what the hell that means, Todd, because I don't get it. So now, Sheriff Baxter, Michael Radler, I sent the foil to him 20 plus times for the payroll every single time Michael Radler doing it. Michael Radler was a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee for 20 years. And I have his check here that he gets because he's retired. So he has a check here for the Bank of Todd Baxter. Here's his check for 20 years, being a Monroe County Sheriff's employee, writing speeding tickets. And here it is right here. So Michael Radler's got his one check for being a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee, and then he retired. Michael Radler was retired. Isn't that right, Michael Radler? And then Sheriff Baxter, we hired you, or hired you, whatever the correct language is. You retired, and then you were not retired. And then you got a second paycheck. Isn't that right, Michael Radler? And this is also the Bank of Todd Baxter. So, Michael Radler, you got one paycheck for being a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee for 20 years, and then you got your current paycheck as a special assistant or assistant to Sheriff Baxter. So you, Michael Radler, are a double dipper baby. Isn't that right, Michael Radler? Now, Michael Radler, I would like to quote you on the job. This is what you have said on the job, Michael Radler, in the office. Quote, I work with retards, end quote. So, now, excuse me, Madam District Attorney Sandra Doorley, can you please do me a favor and say, because every time I scratch my nail down someone else's back, I hope you feel it. Because, Sandra, you need to be singing Alanis Morissette because you're obviously real lonely. So you need to be scratching your nails down someone's back to have a good time. All right, sweetheart? You got that from me here, Chris Chichester, 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield. Because, Sandra, the reason why you need to be scratching your nails down someone else's back is as the Queen of Monroe County, here you are with your powdered wig, sitting around. I don't know what the hell you're doing here. You're obviously real lonely, sweetheart. So take my advice and scratch your nail down someone else's back because you're going to feel a hell of a lot better. And then after you do it, send your public employee payroll to my home address in Penfield at 26 Sanders Farm Drive. You got me? You got what I'm saying there, honey? You know what I'm saying? So, now, I'm delivered to Monroe County Jail as an innocent man without the prosecutor talking. She did not talk, and I still do not know her name. So, Kyle Steinbach, I'd like to ask you a question. Where's your decency? Send me the documentation for my case in Penfield Town Court before John P. Lomenzo Jr. How is it that I haven't committed a crime? I go to Penfield Town Court. The prosecutor doesn't talk, and I'm delivered to jail. How does that happen in the United States of America? When I first moved here to Penfield, my girlfriend Laura is hired at the Penfield Public Library. So I'd walk over to see her, and I'd go in the front. What I don't know is at the end of the hallway is Penfield Town Court. And the reason why I don't know Penfield Town Court is at the end of the hallway is I've never been in a courtroom as a defendant. I've been in a courtroom one time. when I worked in Albany in 1997, I was driving down Washington Avenue to the Capitol where I worked, and I got a speeding ticket. So a friend of mine gave me the name of the attorney, and I went to court in Albany City Hall, which is right in front of the Capitol. So I walked into court with my attorney that my friend set me up with, and he said, I'm just going to go talk to the judge. Because I was going like 5 miles over, and I said this to my attorney. I said, how am I getting a ticket? This is ridiculous. So I walked into this courtroom with the attorney my buddy set me up with, and he went and talked to the judge, and the case was dismissed. I didn't get any points, no fine or nothing. Now, I don't know what he said to the judge, but that's the only time I've been in the courtroom. And I don't even really consider it being in the courtroom because I wasn't a defendant. I didn't go up to the judge. I didn't talk to the judge. Now, you can read whatever you want into that. That's the only time I've been into a courtroom because of anything having to do with my behavior. So, I'm delivered to Monroe County Jail as an innocent man. I have an envelope. And in the upper left corner, it has the address, 130 Plymouth Avenue South, Rochester, New York, 14614. So I wrote on this envelope that I have taped to my wall behind me, that I have in my hand now, a message to remind myself to be relentless. And this says, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.